You don't look like a criminal. That's exactly why they chose you. Your name is Marco Reyes, 34 years old. You live in a mid-size border city that smells like diesel and mesquite smoke, somewhere between nowhere and somewhere worse. You drive for a medical logistics company, organ transport mostly. Time-sensitive cargo. You know every back road, every unmarked underpass, every stretch of highway where the cameras point the wrong direction because the county ran out of budget to fix them. You are, by every measurable standard, a good driver. You have never had a ticket. You have never been arrested. You coach youth soccer on Saturdays. None of that will matter. Your life on a Tuesday looks like this. You wake at 5:40 a.m. before the alarm. You make coffee in a kitchen that still has crayon drawings taped to the refrigerator from when your daughter was 7. She's 12 now and too cool for that. But you haven't taken them down. You kiss your wife Elena on the forehead. She doesn't fully wake. You drive your route. You listen to the same 3 podcasts rotating on a loop. You eat lunch at the same taco stand on Calle Frontera. You are home by 6 p.m. You are predictable. That is not a virtue in your city. That is a target. The first contact is not dramatic. It's a Tuesday night. Elena is asleep, and you're in the driveway replacing a taillight on your personal car, a silver Civic with 180,000 miles on it, when a black SUV rolls to a stop at the curb. Not aggressive, not fast, it just stops. A man gets out, 40 maybe, clean shave. He's wearing a button-down shirt that costs more than your car payment. He doesn't approach quickly. He gives you time to see him, which is somehow more frightening than if he'd rushed you. He says, "You're the one who drove the transplant run from Nogales to the university hospital last March. 41 minutes. People said it couldn't be done in under an hour." You say nothing. He smiles. "We just want to talk." The leverage comes 3 days later. You don't hear from him again immediately. Instead, you notice things. A car you don't recognize parked 2 houses down there when you leave, gone when you return. A photograph, printed, not digital, slipped under your windshield wiper while your car sat in a hospital parking structure. It's a picture of your daughter leaving school. No note, no threat, no words at all, just the photograph. And then the button-down man calls. His name, he tells you, is Señor Vela. You will never learn if this is real. He explains the situation with the patience of someone reading terms and conditions. There is a network. They move product. They have until recently used drivers who are unreliable, conspicuous, or compromised. They want a professional. They want someone who understands time-critical routing, who won't panic at a checkpoint, who looks like exactly what you are, a working man in a practical car. You say you're not interested. He says, "Marco, your daughter takes the 7:15 bus. She sits in the 3rd seat from the front on the left side. She always has her earbuds in. She wouldn't hear someone sit down next to her until it was already a conversation." He's not yelling. His voice is the temperature of a Tuesday morning. "We're not asking you to want this," he says. "We're asking you to understand it. The first job is a Tuesday. They like Tuesdays. You'll learn later it's because checkpoint staffing is lowest mid-week, mid-morning, a detail someone paid to know. You receive a time and an address via a burner phone that appears in your mailbox overnight. The address is an auto shop 16 minutes from your house. You arrive and a man you've never seen transfers 2 duffel bags into the trunk of your Civic. He doesn't tell you what's inside. You don't ask. You already know it doesn't matter. The destination is a storage facility, 48 miles northeast. You have a 3-hour window. You drive exactly the speed limit. You make every complete stop at every stop sign because that's what you always do. At the highway checkpoint, you roll down the window and answer the officer's questions about where you're coming from and where you're headed. You say visiting a storage unit for work, decluttering old logistics files. You say it the same way you'd say you're going to pick up milk, because you've been going to storage units for work for 11 years, and you sound exactly like it. The officer waves you through. Your hands do not shake. That is the worst part. Your hands do not shake. 2 days later there is an envelope in your mailbox. $3,200 in cash, wrapped in a rubber band. No note. You sit with it at the kitchen table for a long time. You drive your daughter to soccer practice. You watch her laugh with her teammates. You put the envelope in a shoebox in the back of your closet, and you tell yourself this was a one-time thing. You know that is not true when you're saying it. Over the following months, a rhythm develops. Once every 2-3 weeks, never the same route twice. The cargo varies, sometimes bags, sometimes a person in the back seat you are instructed not to look at, not to speak to, and to deliver to a specific corner, like they're an Amazon package. You don't know their names. You don't know which direction their life is headed after they step out of your car. You become a craftsman of invisibility. You memorize camera positions. You understand the relationship between shift changes and reduced patrol density. You know which roads flood after rain and which ones the state police avoid because the shoulder is too narrow for a U-turn. You are excellent at this. The money accumulates. You pay off Elena's medical debt from the surgery 2 years ago. You tell her it's an overtime program through work. She doesn't ask for details because she's just grateful the calls from collection stopped. You have become the kind of person who lies fluently. The turning point arrives on a cold February night. The cargo this time is a man named, you're told, Tito. Mid-20s, he's in your back seat, and he's been beaten. Not badly enough to need a hospital, badly enough to need a car. He is being relocated, Senor Vela explained, because he made an error in accounting. 40 minutes into the drive, Tito leans forward and says, I have a daughter too. You say nothing. He says, I know you do. They showed me your file. Same as mine. You drive. 18 miles later, you drop him at a warehouse on the edge of an industrial corridor. A man comes out to meet him. You pull away without looking in the rearview mirror. 3 days later you see Tito's photograph in the local paper. A small article, unidentified man found near the freight yards. The investigation is described as ongoing. You clip the article. You don't know why. You put it in the shoebox with the money. You try to stop. You call Senor Vela, and you tell him you're done. Your voice is steady. You've rehearsed this. He listens without interrupting. Then he says, of course, we respect that. The call ends. For 11 days, nothing happens. You start to believe it. On the 12th day, your daughter doesn't come home from school. She's fine. She was detained briefly for her safety, Vela explains when he calls, and is already on her way home. An overreaction to a situation near the school, he assures you. He hopes she wasn't too frightened. She walks through the door 40 minutes late and hugs you and says a weird man in a car offered to drive her home from the bus stop, and it scared her. You hold her for a long time. You call Senor Vela back. You tell him you'll keep driving. 6 weeks later, a federal investigator named Casas comes to your work. She's asking about organ transport logistics. Routine, she says. Cross-referencing route data. She's friendly. She offers you a card and says if you ever see anything unusual in your work, her office is interested in certain regional logistics networks. She holds eye contact for a second longer than the conversation requires. You take the card. You thank her. You drive home and sit in your car in the driveway for 23 minutes before going inside. She is offering you a door. You can feel the weight of the shoebox upstairs. The clipped newspaper. The $3,200 in a rubber band. You could walk through that door. You know exactly what happens to your daughter if you do. That night you look in the bathroom mirror, and you try to find the man who coached soccer and made coffee before the alarm. He is still there, technically, but you understand now that the man in the mirror and the man in the car are the same person. That's the part they never tell you. You don't become a criminal. You realize you always had the capacity. They just found the right key. Elena asks you, later that week, why you seem so far away. You tell her work is stressful. She rubs your back and says it will get better. Your daughter shows you a drawing she made at school. A car, a road, a sunset. She's proud of it. She says she wants to be an architect someday, design roads and bridges. You tell her that's a beautiful idea. You mean it. That is the unbearable part. You mean every warm thing you say to them completely, while being someone they do not know. You think about Tito sometimes, about the way he said I have a daughter too, like it was a password, like he thought it would unlock something in you. Maybe it did, maybe it just unlocked too late. Here is what you know now. You are not a monster. Monsters are easy. Monsters don't coach soccer. They don't leave the coffee on for their wives. They don't tear up a little when their kid shows them a drawing. You are something harder to name. You are a person who made a series of individually survivable decisions until you were somewhere you cannot walk back from. You chose your daughter over Tito. You would make the same choice again. That's not a confession. That's the moral math of your particular corner of the world, and you have run the numbers every night for months. The question that keeps you awake is not what am I? The question is, at what point did I stop being the person who would have done something different? You don't have an answer. You're not sure the answer exists. Somewhere right now, a man who has never stolen anything in his life is getting a phone call he won't tell his wife about. He's sitting in a driveway, his hands aren't shaking, and he is doing the math. If this made you think, drop a comment below. And if you want more stories about ordinary people in impossible places, subscribe.